It is exactly the opposite of what should be a standard oversight hearing, which we do every year with every attorney general, and we ask questions about policy and practice and past incidents, and every attorney general under Republican and Democratic administration has been responsive factually. What you saw today was just blatant defiance of the norms, a cover-up, and a creep toward authoritarianism that comes with singling out people for prosecution because they are personal adversaries or there's some kind of personal animus, which is Donald Trump's trademark. And the reason why I dwelled on it, and I made clear at the beginning of the hearing, was that this kind of selection or malicious prosecution is against every ethic, every norm in our criminal justice system. When I was the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut, federal prosecutor there, or the Attorney General for 20 years, I knew the most important decision I made was whether to charge someone. Nobody recovers completely from a charge. And when we have an authoritarian state that singles out James Comey or Tish James or any of the other 9 or 10 people that are now under investigation, it can be anyone. Today it's Comey, tomorrow it can be you. If the president of the United States wants to single you out.
I agree that what we saw today was unbecoming of the office that she holds, both because she was unwilling to answer questions and because she seemed to have come with an oppo doc with a line for each of you and turned it into an I'm rubber, you're glue situation. At the same time, it's clear what's happening inside of DOJ, both from the reporting and from the prosecutors who are choosing to leave. I'm sure you saw this reporting we have from our colleagues at MSNBC that a top prosecutor from that same Eastern District of Virginia office is basically preparing to be fired, UC, because she's unwilling to bring charges against New York AG Tish James. You have Halligan, who is now running that office. She doesn't have line prosecutors who are willing to do the work because they know it's bogus. So she's now had to go outside of her office and get prosecutors from the state of North Carolina to come and actually do the work. Do we really not know what is happening inside DOJ? Do we need to hear it from Pam Bondi, or are our eyes and ears enough?
We need to hear it from her, but our eyes and ears provide the factual basis for the questions we were asking. The reason why I was asking whether Donald Trump has instructed her at that dinner, for example, the night before Comey was indicted, that small dinner, I held up the poster showing her at the table with Donald Trump at dinner. Well, we need to hold her accountable. She is the Attorney General of the United States. She's the one who is recruiting these prosecutors from all over the country to do her bidding when the career professionals have integrity and conscience and conviction and turn her down. So I think this kind of accountability has to be imposed, and that's the reason that we had this oversight hearing. And, you know, what is astonishing is how many questions she refused to answer and how she lashed out with those personal attacks. She had a dossier on every single Democrat, and she used them on every single Democrat to attack them when she didn't want to answer a question.
Michael, can I just say something really quickly because it's on this exchange here, which is, can you imagine this happening with a different administration, where a senator would bring up a photo of the person who runs the DOJ dining with the president the night before something like this happens, and the response from the person running DOJ wouldn't be like, I'm offended by the question. Of course not. I would never have that conversation. I understand the responsibilities of my office. There was only one right answer, and she refused to give it.
Well, she refused to give it because she couldn't give it because that was not part of how she...
It would be a lie.
It would be a lie.
Yeah, she's not okay about lying about herself.
Right. And the reality of it is, as I said in the last segment, she is a grade A political hack in a job she should not be in and would not otherwise be in under any other Republican administration, period. Only Donald Trump would pick Pam Bondi to serve as Attorney General of the United States. Only Donald Trump would pick Kash Patel to serve as Director of the FBI. Only Donald Trump would pick Pete Hegseth to serve as Secretary of Defense. not war. Okay? So the reality of it is, Senator, in light of what you just said and the point that Alicia just raised, how then do you do oversight? Because right now you've got cabinet secretaries that will come before your committee and basically tell you to pound sand. We're not answering your questions. And in fact, we got something we're going to serve up to you. We're going to tell a little something about you that's personal and not important to the conversation. So how do you, as a sitting member of the United States Senate, with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto, do your job when sitting in front of you is a political hack who is engaging in the idiocracy?
Well, in that hearing, she had an audience of one, namely Donald Trump. She was his personal lawyer. That's why she's Attorney General of the United States. Todd Blanche, her deputy, also Donald Trump's personal lawyer, and the person who ultimately sought and signed the indictment, Halligan, another personal attorney. So the interconnections here are factual, and the way we do oversight is, number one, we talk to some of those attorneys who have resigned in protest because they know the inner workings. Mm-hmm. As for the formal oversight, we're going to depend ultimately on Republican colleagues.